guys, so here we are trying this new video thing. I don't know if it's gonna work, we'll see. But today I am going to a bookstore, surprise. Probably two bookstores actually. I have some time to kill in between church and work in the evening, and so I'm just gonna kind of hang out. Now the reason I was going to the bookstore initially was because it's a used bookstore and I was gonna drop off some old books, but I forgot them. We're going to the bookstore anyway. I have a couple of books that I want to try to find, and we'll see if I succeed. I have been looking for one, oops, low power mode, okay. I've been looking for one in particular for a while, and even like the Barnes & Noble didn't have it. It's like a classic, it's famous. I don't know why the bookstores don't have it. So hopefully the flagship Half Price Books will have it. They have everything. It's kind of ridiculous. I hope I can get some pictures at least, because this place is my happy place. And so let's get going. So I'm super excited because not only did they have the book I'm looking for, it's Middlemarch by George Eliot, but they had options. So I picked the one that I thought was best, which is the Oxford Classics edition. It'll look nice with my set, and it's $5, so that's exciting. Alright, this area is sparsely populated, so I won't feel weird talking to a camera, although I'm sorry if I'm quiet. I'm trying not to be too bad, but this is what I love about this bookstore. This little space is just the B and C books, and I think it's not even quite all of them. They have a ton of selections, and if you're looking for classics in particular, they have so many options. Like, here's Willa Cather's work. They start right there. Oh, where's my finger? Over there. All of this whole shelf on the bottom, and then all the way up to the top. And there's a number of different editions. If you want My Antonia, you have more options than you'll ever know what to do with. So you can pick the cheapest one or the nicest one or whatever. I really appreciate that. They often have really good editions too. Like here's an Oxford Classics of Cervantes, or you can find one shelf over. You have the Norton Alice in Wonderland, you have the Oxford Alice in Wonderland, you have the Penguin Classics Alice in Wonderland. So if you're looking for like an academic edition or you need something for a class, this is a really great place to come also. And they're pretty affordable. Sometimes they're older editions, but if it doesn't matter, then that's fine. You know, the insides are still just as good, the notes are still just as good. Sometimes the older editions are actually better, which is the case of a lot of the like Art and Shakespeare's, for example, which they also have here. So I just really appreciate that about this bookstore. I know that if I'm going to come here, they'll probably have what I'm looking for as far as classics anyway. New releases are more hit and miss just because they're new releases and it's a used bookstore, but in general, it's a really lovely place to just come wander around and hang out. Well, that was a successful shopping trip. I filmed a little bit in the store, but not a whole lot because it was super crowded. It's Sunday afternoon, which makes sense that it would be crowded, but I've been here a bunch of Sunday afternoons. Most of the time I'm here, it's Sunday afternoon, and I don't know, there's a lot of people there. So that's great. I'm so glad that they are really busy. I love the store so much. It's the one place where I have like a really, really hard time not buying a whole bunch of books. So I thought I would just show you my little haul, what I actually bought. I already showed this one, but I got the book I was coming for. This is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I've been in another smaller Half Price Books, and also I went to Barnes & Noble, and neither of them had any copies, not even a Barnes & Noble edition copy of Middlemarch, so I was getting a little worried there, and I'm glad I was able to find a nice copy. The parking lot is also really busy, so if you have background noise, sorry about that. Then I got a Oxford World Classics edition of the Dr. Faustus and Other Plays. So this is most of the plays of Christopher Marlowe. I'm just trying to kind of build up my early modern collection, and there'll be plays that I can read for part of my reading challenge, the early modern reading challenge. Then I got this novel by Salman Rushdie called Haroun and the Sea of Stories. I'm teaching a high school class right now, long story. In the literature selections, we're reading Around the World, and the book that I have that I'm pulling all of the stories from has a chapter from Haroun and the Sea of Stories, and it was just like really unusual and different. It's written like it's a fairy tale or folk tale, but it's contemporary. I am excited to have the full novel so that I can read it, because I really enjoyed the one chapter. I don't know that I'll read it before I talk about it with my students, unfortunately, though it's pretty short, so maybe I'll try to do that in the next couple of days so I can give them some context, because I felt like they're going to have problems with it a little bit because it's kind of unusual. Then I found these. These are the Penguin Classics. What are they called? The Little Black Classics. I saw these in England when I was there last summer, and I wanted to buy all of them, but of course, shipping. So they had a couple that I found. This one is Sinbad the Sailor, and it's just this tiny little book. And then I also saw The Wife of Bath by Geoffrey Chaucer. So this is The Wife of Bath's introduction and then her tale. They're super short, just like selections or short stories by major writers. I love just these little, like, they'd be so easy to stick in your bag or something, just to pull out and read, and they're super cute, and they were $1. Oh, and this is the Neville Coghill edition, which I'm excited about. Neville Coghill was a friend of J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. He kept minutes, like, for fun, of meetings in Middle English verse, because he could just, like, write it, because he was that smart. Anyway, so that is what I got at Half Price Books. I was gonna go to a Barnes & Noble nearby, but I have kind of run out of time and also money, so I won't be doing that. I'm gonna go hang out and read for an hour or two. Hi guys, it's me. I have a little bit of time to kill. I am on campus, and I just met with my thesis advisor, and now I have a couple of hours to kill before I work, but I am, like, too far from home and traffic and stuff, so I'm just hanging out here. I'm filming in my car. I was gonna film outside, and I'm kind of bummed that I can't, but it's super windy, and I just, like, I don't know if you could see my face, first of all, because I think my hair would be, like, in front of it, and second of all, I think the background windy noise would be awful. So here we are in my car again. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update about where my reading is since Sunday. So when I went to Half Price Books, I bought Salman Rushdie's book, the name of which I can't remember now. Haroun and the Sea of Stories, that's what it's called. And I said I was hoping that I could read it before my students get to the short story, and I did actually manage to do that. I read it on Sunday night while I was at work, which was great. My job here at the university, I work as a tutor in the writing lab, and so we have a block of time that we have where we're on shift, and if we don't have students send up, we can kind of do whatever as long as we're, like, there in the writing lab. So I've gotten a lot of schoolwork done, obviously, but I didn't have any because my thesis was being reviewed, and so I read the book. It was really short, just like 140 pages or something, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a fairy tale. It has this very fun and whimsical feel to it about this boy named Haroun and his father, due to some personal tragedy, who he has not been able to tell stories, and that's kind of his thing, so it's a problem. And so Haroun teams up with If the Water Genie, and they go on this adventure to the invisible moon Kahini, and rescue the Sea of Stories, which is in danger of being polluted. And it's just, like, it was a really fun little story, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to read it before my students do, because now I can give them some context and background information about the part that they're reading. Then I also finished Dreams of Gods and Monsters, Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, and I've been reading this over the last week or two kind of slowly. I feel like Laini Taylor's books are the kinds of books that you need to savor. Like, they're so beautiful and so emotional, and you just have to take some time to just, like, feel the feels. So I finished that. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. The writing was beautiful. The plot was really beautiful. As like a middle book in a trilogy, it was really solid. It had its own plot and character arc stuff going on. I liked that it kind of avoided the romance succeeds in the first book and then the stupid stuff happens in the middle. I was really afraid there was going to be a love triangle, and there wasn't, and it made me happy. And it ended kind of hopefully, which was great, because the whole book is kind of bleak. Like, it's what happens, it's about the fallout at the end of the first book. I really loved this kind of like kernel of slow growing hope. At the beginning, everybody feels like it's kind of just like what is, and there's not much they can do to change it, and by the end of the book, they're taking some pretty dramatic steps to make those changes. So anyway, I just really enjoyed that book. I'll try to put the cover up on the screen. I love the UK cover by Hodder and Stoughton. I think the UK covers are really beautiful, and there's like these subtle little nuances that refer to the book So that's really cool. And then I'm always reading 4 million books. So I also started Middlemarch. I'm in chapter 3, so I don't have a lot to say about it, except that the writing is really good. I've heard a lot about Middlemarch, so I kind of know what's happening. We'll see what happens with that one. It's 700 pages, so it's going to take me a while to get through it. That's all I'm actively reading at the moment. I have some other books that I'm technically reading because they're open and they have bookmarks in the sections, but I haven't actually read some of them, and I feel like a couple I'm going to actually do enough, so we'll see what happens about that. I am procrastinating, so I thought I would give you a little bit of an update about what I've been reading. So today I have continued with Middlemarch. I'm at page 60-ish, I think. 65. And I am really enjoying it so far. I think I said that yesterday, but I am a lot further along in the story and I'm still really enjoying it. Two main characters are sisters, Dorothea and Celia Brooke, and they live with their uncle in this small town in England, and it's just one of those like Dickensian sort of, it's not like Dickens at all actually, but one of those very typical like Victorian novels. It's a large cast of characters in a small place, and they all know each other and interact with each other. Usually the kind of situations that are happening in the first 100 or even 200 pages of this book they're like the warm-up to the main plot, and you don't really discover what the book is about until you're like in the middle of it, which is cool. But so far I'm enjoying these people, and that's what really matters for a Victorian novel like this of the length. You have to really connect with the characters, or not connect with them, but be like interested in what's going on with them, because otherwise there's no plot. So you just have to kind of care. Anyway, so that is the thing that I'm reading most. I actually have mostly been reading critical articles, so you can see all of those, and working on my thesis. It's loads of fun. I thought I was going to film a video, but I didn't, because that's how my life's going, and that's cool. So it's Saturday. Welcome to my very cluttered bookshelves. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to rearrange them, but that involves taking all the books off 5 bookcases and putting them all back differently, and I don't have time for that right now. So I am excited because I got a mini little tripod for my phone. I'm hoping that it'll help me do some vlogging. Still kind of figuring it out, so I'm playing with it right now. So that's fun. Also in the package I got 2 books, so I thought I would kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, try out the tripod, and also film the book. It's so weird filming on the camera, because, or not the camera, the phone, because like the lens is over here, but I want to look at my face. I don't know. I'm going to try to look at the lens. Let's see if that works better. So the first book I got was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I've already read this, but I read a library copy and I loved it so much that I had to buy a real copy. It's so shiny. Reflect the light. Anyway, Strange the Dreamer is about a librarian named Laszlo Strange who has been obsessed with this city that no one can remember the name of for a really long time, and then someday his obsession turns out to be a good thing. I thought it was fabulous and beautiful and heartbreaking and made me have all the feels, which is kind of rare for a book these days. I just read so many books that it has to be pretty powerful for it to feel impactful for me. So Strange the Dreamer, y'all. It's a big deal too when I read a book either on a Kindle version or a library as a library book, and then if I actually like take the step to purchase it, that means that I really, really love it. So Strange Dreamer has made it to that. It's so shiny. This is really cool. Anyway, the other book I got is another step in my Laini Taylor obsession. So now I don't own everything she wrote, but I own everything she wrote about the Daughter of Smoke and Bone. This is like a one-off novella, and it's so cute. It's so much cuter than I even thought it was. So first of all, this cover is adorable. And it was illustrated by Taylor's husband, who is an illustrator, Jim DiBartolo. So, but look at the pretty drawings, and some of them are full page, like They're really beautiful. And then, on top of everything else, the Naked book is stunning. Goodbye. Front, spine. Is that upside down? Yep. Spine. And then the back. It's so cute. So, A Night of Cake and Puppets is a story that is referenced in Dreams of Gods and Monsters, I think, and maybe a little bit in Daughter of Smoke and Bone. But it's how two of the side characters, who are just the most adorable, get together. And I really love them, and so I was excited to read this. And it's so pretty. I love it so much. And here is my cat. Say hi, Melly. This is Melly. She's really fuzzy and gets cat hair everywhere, but is pretty cute, so I keep her around. Anyway, so that's my little mini haul. I'm not sorry for my obsession with Laini Taylor. I have to start Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I said Dreams of Gods and Monsters, but it takes place between Daughter of Smoke and Bone and Days of Blood and Starlight, which for some reason I always forget the title of. Get it mixed up with the third one. Anyway, so much pretty. Cat, you're not supposed to be there. Now she's blocking my light. You're blocking my light. Thank you. So I haven't vlogged for a couple of days, mostly because I've been reading student essays and my own thesis and kind of nothing else. I finished listening to some audiobooks of old Bill Bryson books. I like to listen to just like nonfiction, like light-hearted memoir-y kinds of stuff when I'm doing lots of stressful work, because I don't have to like follow a story or whatever. I can just hear cute anecdotes about interesting places. So I enjoy that, and I haven't really been reading anything else. I've poked around with some books. I read 40 pages of Middlemarch yesterday. Angles, man. Hey, look, we're back in my car. Happens. So I went to the bookstore again. This time I actually brought the books that I meant to sell. So I did that, and then I picked up a couple of books. And so I thought I would show you what I got. First, I got Fairies of Dreamdark Blackbringer by Laini Taylor. This is, again, more residuals from my new Laini Taylor obsession. This is like the series that she wrote before Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and to be honest, the synopsis sounds kind of cheesy. It's about a fairy named Magpie Windwitch, who's the granddaughter of the West Wind, and she has a destiny and fate and darkness and stuff. But I read the prologue in the first chapter, and it's still got Laini Taylor's characteristic beautiful prose, and so I'm gonna give it a chance, and it was half price, so that helps. Also, on my quest to collect all of Holly Black's work, I picked up White Cat. I love this cover so much. It's super beautiful. I think these are the like new paperbacks. I'm not really sure, but this is the first book in a trilogy about a magical family of con artists, and I've read it. I read it ages ago, and I remember really liking it, and so I'd like to reread it as I'm doing all of my Holly Black rereads, and so I picked those two books up. Again, I had to restrain myself. That's always the case at the bookstore, though. I mean, if you don't have to restrain yourself from buying books, why are you there? I don't know. Anyway, now I am going to a coffee shop, which is behind me, and I'm going to work on my thesis, because that's what I do these days. I go to coffee shops and I work on my thesis. Wrapping up this week, I bought a whole bunch of books between all of my bookstore visits, all two of my bookstore visits, and my Amazon order and my Owl Crate. I didn't read a whole lot, unfortunately. This is just one of those weeks where I bought more books than I read, which actually doesn't happen quite often. I usually only buy a couple of books at a time, and I read a lot. But this week I was really busy with work and revising my thesis, and so it just didn't happen. I finished 3 books this week. I finished Rune and Sea Stories by Salman Rushdie. I finished Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, which I did not start this week. I only had a little bit left. And then I finished what's the other one? Oh, Night of Cake and Puppets, also by Laini Taylor. Night of Cake and Puppets is adorable. It's billed like on Goodreads as 2.5 in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, but it actually only sort of minorly spoils stuff in the first book and doesn't ever, it takes place during the first book, so you could read it after the first book. I loved the story. It was super adorable. Lots of cuteness and feels and just enough like conflict and angst to make it like not entirely fluffy. It had that nice strange quality of Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Susanna is kind of a quirky character, and it's definitely shows up in the story. So I felt like Taylor did a good job of making it really like a cute, fluffy story without completely negating the tone, the darker tone of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone world. So that was fun. It was a fun little book. I'll probably reread it a bunch of times, and like you saw, it's so beautiful. All the illustrations were great. So I really enjoyed that one too. So A+ reading week as far as it goes. So right now I'm reading the short, The Poison Eaters, which is the short story collection by Holly Black, and I'm reading the Laini Taylor book that I bought yesterday, and enjoying that one. It doesn't have the like intense emotionalness of the other books of hers that I've read, but it's an earlier book, so that makes sense, and I am liking it more than I thought I would actually, so that's nice. What else am I reading? I don't even know. I'm reading everything. I'm in the middle of Middlemarch, not the middle, I'm on page like 100 and something. I read like in cycles, so I might finish a book occasionally and also have like 12 other books going. I'm in the middle of Springtime by Sadie Smith. I'm gonna start Ace of Shades probably tonight. What else am I in the middle of? Oh, these books I have begun and not finished. This is Heart of Iron and Gemina, which I'm enjoying. I have Children of Blood and Bone that I'm in the middle of. I'm reading some Kindle books. Amazon had a special for World Book Day where they had some translated books, and I downloaded a couple of those. I'm reading a Swedish mystery. Yeah, so that's my week. Yeah, but I liked doing this. I felt like it fit much better into my life and my schedule. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.